Hi everybody, it's Vicente Wolf, and I wanted to talk to you about collecting. And it's not just what you buy, but how you show it to get the most amount of drama. I always say one is, tchotchke, two is chance, but three becomes a collection. So I want to walk you through 5 different collections that I put together, some which are personal of mine, and some from VW Home. The first one is, I've been collecting Buddhas for, 30 years, and they're from Japan, Bhutan, Thailand, Cambodia, all of them, and they all go on this table. Some, like this guy over here, I've had for almost 50 years. I used to be a shoe assistant buyer at A&S in Long Island, in Brooklyn, and there was a sale and I bought it, so he's been traveling with me for many years. But what you see here is just a conglomeration of visual effects, and they are in my conference room. So when somebody's sitting here, it's something to look at, something to really be able to focus one to the other. If I'm on the phone, I stand here and I keep arranging them. It's a very calming thing. So the other collection that I'm going to show you is over here, and it is a more primitive thing. They are from different parts of Indonesia. These came from Papua New Guinea, and these came from different parts of Indonesia. And this brings an earthier quality to your collection. As you see here, they're arranged not just stuck together, but high, low, low, and these two, which are the same height. They're great because they're all done from fiber, and they've all been woven together. I bought them when I was in Papua New Guinea, and I was in the mountains and the tribes, and so it was really always interesting to see where things come from and how it can end up in a much more sophisticated space. The next one is something that anyone can do. These are necklaces from all different parts of the world. Indonesia, and these 3 came from Morocco. So if you're collecting, you can be collecting necklaces if you like them, and display them in a way that really speaks of who you are and what appeals to you. I laid some down flat, some at different heights again, and they're really great. And I think anything that speaks of who you are as an individual always helps people when they come into your home to really sort of share with you your likes. Let me show you another one, and these are completely different. These are masks, and I've been collecting them for many years. I love this guy over here, the big ears and the big teeth. Some are African. These are from Balinese dancers. And again, it's a collection. They can be masks from all over the world, wherever you're traveling, and be able to buy them, work out some sort of way of mounting them. But again, like everything, there's a high, there's a medium, and there's a low. And what that does, that comes from my Japanese sort of experiences of when you look at things in Japan, everything is always arranged in a high, medium, low. And especially when they do the floral arrangements, ikebana. Another one, now a more sophisticated one, is these Chinese porcelains. So here I have mixed them with Japanese tea ceremony urns. And what I think is interesting about it is that, they're different shapes, but they all relate to each other. Again, it's looking at things, putting them together in a way that it speaks like a full sentence. If this was in one room, this is in another room, and so on, you wouldn't get the same impact. But because they're put together, because there's the play of the different tonalities, that's really what makes it into an interesting setting. As a setting, what you see here, the pictures, some contemporary, some in the 40s, and this really makes a whole story in a space. You have an English chair, you have a Chinese stand, porcelains, as I said, Japanese, a lamp line design. So all these things together really start to give a personality to the space. And when you see the wall here, I collect photography. I've been collecting this for many years, and you all probably have seen these walls. But, you know, there are artists. There's Marguerite drawings, Matisse, Miro, and then photographs from literally early 20th century, like this one here, to Russian, to Czech, to Italian, and they've all been put together in a very sort of not perfect way. But when you look at them together, they've made a composition. I have said that if you all have any questions, please ask it. Do we have a question?
We do have a question.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about how you mount the objects? Are those custom-made mountings?
Yes. Many of these things I gather in my travels, and I always end up in Thailand. And in Thailand, I have a man that creates all the stands. But there are people in New York that do that as well. I think that if you Google it, stand maker for objects, you will find. And I will look it up and I'll post it in my Instagram account, you know, where you can contact them. But it makes a big difference. Yes, it looks very flat, but when you see it mounted, it becomes a much more important object.
And a follow-up, what about the picture frames? When you frame one of your photographs, do you keep it, are you thinking of the whole composition, or do you pick a frame specifically for that photograph?
No, I select the frames to go with the emotion of the photographs. I mean, it would be great if they were all framed in black or white, and it would be a very strong statement as well. But I like that each one has like something to say about what the art. They're mainly in black, white, wood, black, white, wood. So they mix. I think each one has a different personality, and I think it's important to show the personality of the artist in how you frame it. That's no different than the 18th, 19th, 20th century as it pertains to art.
And can you tell us a little more about the Balinese masks?
Yeah. I mean, some of them are quite old, like this guy over here. They represent different entities that in the dance, whether it is, well, this is like a princess. This guy, as you can see, not a nice guy. This over here is like a demon. And this is just the upper part of the face. So here you see the mouth, and they make sounds, what they're saying, I don't know. The African one is just a dance mask, which I've had for many years. But it's so funny because I love it. Whenever I see one when I'm traveling, I buy it. But most people come in and, first of all, it's funny because they're not accustomed to seeing these masks. And so, oh my God, it's so scary, I couldn't have that in my apartment. I think that they're great because it shows a different slant to the space. Anything else?
Yes, what are the different materials of the necklaces?
The necklaces are, some of them are porcelain, these are amber, and these are just, plastic beads, with shells on the top. Again, this is amber with, baked porcelain, clay, different shapes. Some of them have little, pieces of glass. I've collected them. Again, I think necklaces are a great thing because I've had them where they had pencil caps and just all sorts of found objects, which I bought in Ethiopia. But they were just like, just rare thing, part of a needle, a cap, the cap you put over a ballpoint pen, buttons. And there were just things people found and they incorporated into the necklaces. And I think that that's great. It shows a little bit about who put that together and what was important to them.
Do you have any single objects that you're looking forward to start collections with if you find more of them?
Well, first you have to find them before you get started with a collection. It's funny because I started as a minimalist, but I love wonderful things, whether it is Japanese, articulated, like I have articulated lobsters, fish, that were done in the 19th century when the samurai uniforms were no longer being made because the samurai they've gotten rid of it. So all those artists that made all those samurai outfits started to make, as I said, lobsters and bugs and fish, that were all articulated because they had all this crap to work with. So I was just in Japan and I looked for them. You couldn't find them anymore. Though I found 3 bugs that I took to Montauk and sort of set them on the table, to the garden, got a leaf and set the bug on it like it was a real thing walking at the table. Next question.
Have you ever bought anything for your clients, but you've loved it so much that you've had to keep it for yourself?
I have short-term memory, so if I did, I forgot. Things, I buy things I love, like the urns. I love those. I think they're so beautiful, and just all of them. But I think that when people come into the showroom and they buy, so they go into somebody else's homes. But when it's one of my jobs, I get to go back, so I see them. And there have been a few times that due to circumstances, I've bought them back from the client. Those sort of things, like I bought in Istanbul a large collection of plumb weights, which is what they use to measure a straight line. And I put them in 2 different jobs. There were 12 of them. And each client got 6 of them mounted. And one client moved, and I said, well, would you like to sell those? And the other one just sort of wanted new things in their homes. So I ended up in Montauk with them. I guess it's, you fall in love, and it's always in your heart, and when you have the chance to reconnect, I have a lot of things in my home, tables, beds that I have sold to clients and then gotten back. I think, but finally, they just are passing through your hands. It's like art. You're just the curator for that moment, and then it goes on to something else.
What came first?
The chicken or the egg?
No, Vincent Wolf Home, or VW Home, or traveling for the collections?
VW Home, Vincent Wolf Associates came first, interior designer. But on the same floor where my offices are, there's another space. And the landlord came and said, do you want to rent that space and have the whole floor? And I said, well, I don't need to make my office any bigger. And I thought, oh, how about opening, because I travel, I've always been traveling. And you always find things that you like, but what to do with them. So I took the space, bought a ticket around the world, started in Europe, went to Africa, Southeast Asia, Middle East, buying stuff, and that's how it started. It wasn't something that I thought about doing, it just happened, by chance.
What about the photographs behind you?
That I've been collecting for, Francesca Woodland. And she committed suicide when she was in her, I would say, late 20s. And these were all photographs that she took while she was in college. And they're all about her. But they're really, some of them are very disturbing images. But they're really very surreal in what she's doing with her body and doing with her photographs. And around 10 years ago, all of a sudden she became, something that everybody was aware of. Now there are a lot of books, there have been shows all around the world on her work. But I started collecting them like around 20 years ago. They're disturbing. I mean, there's like one here where she has her legs all tied up in masking tape. I mean, not the greatest thing, but I think that it was interesting because I realized very quickly that here was somebody with great talent who died young, and it was, I guess, a good artist to buy. Next question.
This is actually the last question.
Last question.
Yes. Can you talk a little bit more about the different sizes of all the Buddhas in your collection?
Well, because they come from different parts of the world. Like these over here, which come from Thailand, they're used in, let's say, you see these down here, they're like little temples that you keep in your home. So they're kept inside of that. This one is Japanese, this one is Burmese, this is Cambodian, this is Thai. The Japanese one with inside of a little shrine. So they're all, different sizes, and they represent objects of not desire, but objects of reverence to the people who live with them and who appreciate them. Some of these are hundreds of years old, and I've always, you see the ones in the bottom, there are all those little temples in the bottom. And I've just been buying them, You don't find them anymore, unfortunately, because, there wasn't that much of them to begin with. And now they've been bought out. So when I travel now in Southeast Asia, it's very hard to find them because they've been bought out by tourists and collectors and antique dealers. Well, I'm glad that to share. You have more? More questions? No? Is time up? No, I can keep talking. Okay. No, I'm glad you joined me because I think that collecting is a way of expressing yourself. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. It's what appeals to you. And that's your personality, and that's who you want to be and express yourself as. And it doesn't have to be expensive. They're going to be just fans, any belt buckle, just any sort of thing that you appeals to you. And I think at VW Home, you see these, and in fact right now they're unpacking what I bought in December and January when I was traveling through Indonesia and Thailand. So there's going to be a lot of new inventory of objects that are just fresh out of the crate. So until the next time we meet, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for joining me.